Hello and welcome to Dwarf Fortress. I'm Twisted Logic. In this episode, part 2 of maximizing frame rate, I'm going to be looking at a couple different things in the fortress. I'm going to come down in the list here. World generation. Obviously, the larger worlds you generate are going to ask for more processing power. Larger civilizations as well. These can be changed in the advanced parameters of world generation. That's going to be the number of sites as well as the population of the sites. Reducing the number of civilization sites and beasts. Setting the world population cap can limit resources spent for the rest of the world. Pathfinding. Pathfinding for your dwarves, pathfinding for the caravans, pathfinding for the invasions. That's one of the biggest FPS drops that you can get is pathfinding. In the other video, if you haven't seen part 1, I'll link it. But all the dwarves are going out to pick up items outside of the fortress and over in the side of the map there, where a merchant died, and so they were all doing their AI pathfinding to those items and then to stockpiles. That was draining resources a lot. You can also take the cavern layer number down. You know, what you want to do is find out the best settings for your computer. The computer that I'm running on is, I mean, it wasn't built for Dwarf Fortress, but I did kind of have Dwarf Fortress in mind when I built this computer. So I have a fast RAM. It's, I don't remember off the top of my head because I built this computer a year or two ago, but the max speed of the RAM cards is over 4,000 megahertz. And that was the only thing I couldn't get on sale. Every other part on this computer I got on sale, but because that was the best RAM that just came out, there was no way I was getting it on sale. However, the motherboard itself, I can only get up to about 3,400 megahertz, a little bit over that. I can overclock, but then the system becomes a little less stable, and I prefer stability over speed. The fortress design is a very large part of the FPS. The embark site makes a difference. You can do 4x4. 3x3 is the lowest I'll go, but I usually like I like to do a 6x6 sometimes, 7x7. I did try a full tile once, just maximum size embark. And that lasted for a little bit. I think maybe I want to get the tutorial fortress series finished, and then once that is finished, I'm going to be recording an episode tomorrow. By the time this video comes out, it'll probably be the next day, because it takes a little bit with processing and editing these videos after I make them. But the next maybe one of the next tests I'll do is I'll do a full tile. And I'll set the population cap to, like, I don't know, 500 or something, and see how big I can actually get everything before it goes down too much. So this has to do with the embark size that you actually do. But the fortress design is more than just the embark size. It's it has to do with the biomes as well. If you get a biome with only one of the squares growing trees, or 2 of the squares growing trees, it can improve performance. If you embark in a full forest that's like a 7 square by 7 square, and all of them constantly growing multi-level trees and everything like that, then you're going to have some performance dips. It's still playable, but really the whole thing is, like, you look at your computer specs and you try to figure out what the best is, what the best settings are for your computer before you start playing. And then, you know, when you have these things in the back of your mind, then it makes it just go a little bit easier. So fewer items in the fortress can also increase the FPS. This is the purpose for the Atom Smasher. You don't have to get too crazy with it. After like 10 years, I'll start building the Atom Smasher. After about 10 years or so. There is a DF hack command for getting rid of items of a durability of 75% or less, or 50% or less. I believe it's clean, owned, scattered X. and then the X is either capital or lowercase, and then I think you could put a double X in there if you want 25%. Flowing water is one of the biggest slowdowns that I notice. I normally don't build mist generators. Yeah, this is 100% right. Anything that you're building, any kind of water flow system that you're building, mist generator, pump stack, you want to make sure that you work in some way to switch it off and close it off from the fortress. Or if it's 100% contained in the fortress, that's fine. But you don't want monsters swimming in, and secondly, you don't want the you want to be able to turn it off when you can. I have embarked on the ocean before. I didn't think it was too bad. Aquifers don't impose a load. The Dwarven water reactors here, they do slow down the game. When I was doing the magma gun, and the power was fluctuating, you know, it was turning, some water wheels would be off, some would be on. It had to calculate all of the water tiles coming in from the pump, going out to the water wheels, and everything like that. So there was a little bit more calculations that it's doing. But I'm pretty sure that the main FPS drop is usually due to AI pathfinding. That's normally 100% of the time it's AI pathfinding. Oh, changes to the map's connections can cause a lag spike. So when I had the minecart clock going, and it was opening those doors, and the retract bridge and the east bridge were opening and closing, and the floodgate was going up and down on the clock cycle there, that was causing a lag as well. And then when I spawned in 250 giant elephants in the barrel of the gun, that was reducing FPS a lot at that point, but I think it was mostly because of the elephants. Proper use of the traffic designation will help. Set corridors to high traffic and dead-end workshops to low. This is going to reduce the strain on the pathfinding algorithm because it's going to already know this is a high traffic area, this is a restricted or low. And I'll show you that now. Okay, so I'm over here in Dwarf Fortress, and this is the entrance to the fort here. And then this is the main hub up here. We got 9 up downstairs. And if I go to designations here, and then O for set traffic areas, this is going to show the traffic areas that I set. The H here is high traffic area, and that has a cost of 1, so it is a low cost of the dwarves walking in there. The normal traffic area costs 2, and that doesn't have an icon. And the low traffic area costs 5. So it's going to be a higher cost for the AI to walk in this area, even though they can walk in there, but they're always, the algorithm is always going to choose the lower number. And the restricted area costs 25. So the dwarves are only going to walk in the restricted area when they absolutely have to. So I usually set up the trap areas as restricted, so they only go in there when they have to. And so this is the first layer of the fort, and I have a high traffic area coming down and then around these bridges because I don't want them walking on the bridges, and they dip the corner here when they're coming in and out of the fortress. If I come back up to the hub here and go up 1 layer, then I have a transfer area. This area I keep pretty clear. I have I have some gravestones here, but what they do is when they want to get from this stair to this stair here, they do it either on this layer or another layer that's down in the fortress. So they don't like walk through this whole way here and then cut over, because it costs less to walk diagonally through here, and they're not cutting through the workshops, trying to figure out this path. One level down, I have it just on the stairs here because all of the stairs have a high traffic area regardless of their level, so that way they're not going to choose this stair over this stair because on this level I forgot to paste in the high traffic cost. Same with this level here. This is my dining hall, and I don't want them to transfer on this level because a lot of them hang out in the dining hall, so they're gonna have to walk around people to transfer on this level. On this level here, this is the farm level, I set the high traffic area, but I also increased the width of the hallway to 6 here, reducing the area which the pathfinding algorithm has to search lets the game run faster. The obvious solution is not to dig so much of the ground, but you can also wall off areas after if I'm digging a deep mine down to Fluxstone or something like that, and I have a lot of stone hauling going on, and all the dwarves are going down to that Fluxstone layer and bringing stone up, whether with wheelbarrows or carrying it. What I'll do in that situation is build a bridge there, or a door that I can lock, but I usually do a bridge. And then I call everybody back to the burrows with the military alerts, and then close that bridge off, and then disable the military alert, so now they can no longer physically access that section of the map, and the FPS boosts up because they're no longer trying to pathfind down there, and they're no longer carrying the stones very slowly. So spreading your fortress out horizontally, like we're doing in the test fortress, I had mentioned in test fortress that that's not the most efficient way to do things. What I like to do normally is build a main hub somewhere. It doesn't have to be as big as the one in the test fortress. Sometimes the main hub you can have a main hub of one vertical stair. You could do 2, you could do as many, whatever configuration you like to do. And you should try out different things. You shouldn't, like, once the fortress starts experiencing a FPS drop, you can try to save it a little bit, but you know, you shouldn't stress too much about just starting a whole new fortress and you know, making something different. You're going to learn more in a different area. Giant stockpiles versus quantum stockpiles here. The quantum can prevent the need for excavating more space. Each item you produce takes up more memory and is considered in routine cycles like temperature. So the more items you actually have in the game. So this is saying that this wiki page is saying to avoid producing more goods than you can actually use, just because you want to keep your dwarves busy. If you're starting to run out of space to hold your goods, rather than dig out more space, just stop producing the goods. I'll still, sometimes, you know what I'll do is I'll still produce the goods and then put them in the Atom Smasher every once in a while. If I notice that I have way too many things, I'll just toss random things into the Atom Smasher. I'll trade a lot. Trades that are skewed towards the merchants, where I'll trade like all these items in the fortress for like 1 barrel of beer. And that's just really to get rid of the stuff. If the fortress functions are spread too far apart, consider multiple dining halls. That's a good idea. I like to set up multiple dining halls. Legendary dining halls isn't that hard to produce, and there are a few reasons a Magma Forge operator has to cross 100 Z's to the surface to get a drink before going back down. I made a video about bringing magma from the depths up to wherever you want to build your Magma Forge, and I'll link it right now. crowded hallways here. This is something that I just started noticing not too long ago, where they have to dodge around each other and it requires a little bit more pathfinding. So the next fortress, the next test fortress that I'm going to be building is, I was thinking instead of a 3-tile hallway in the main hub, I was going to do a 5-tile hallway, because the next test fortress is going to have I'm going to try to get a extremely high population, maybe 500 to start with. I got to get the migrants, but 500 as a cap and see how 500 is, and then maybe increase it from there. But the dodging here when they're pathfinding, don't rely on a 1-tile hallway, and possibly set up multiple paths that are shortcuts for dwarves, rather than having them travel through the same hallway for the same central staircase every time. Dwarves have been found to prefer pathing across ramps to stairs, or even horizontal travel if there is a change in Z level. Laying your fortress out with ramps rather than stairs can give you an edge. I'm not sure what this part of it means. I'm not sure how you would get a Z level change out of horizontal travel without stairs or ramps, so I'm not sure what that part means. But with the ramps, when the dwarf moves onto the ramp tile, that also changes the Z level. When the dwarf moves onto an up-down stair, it then has to move again to change the Z level. I never really implemented that in the fortress too much. I'll do it here and there as like kind of a quick shortcut that'll add in, but not as the main hub or anything like that. Closing off unused areas with bridges. Oh, okay, I talked about that earlier. You can also wall off unused areas. Open quarry pits are pathfinding traps. Seal them off to your fort with walls when you're done with them. Interesting. Don't designate large areas to be smooth stones at once. I didn't have a problem with that. Oh, so this one actually happened to me the other day. Trapped dwarf, particularly a trapped moody dwarf, can cause significant lag times. I'm not exactly sure how it happened, but one of my dwarves got trapped behind a bridge in the lignite stockpile while he was supposed to be going out on a military mission to raid the Dark Fortress. And the FPS just dropped. I didn't have the FPS counter on, but I really noticed a lag spike when that happened. There's a bug where a trapped dwarf with a strange mood will slow the game down tremendously. I lock them up sometimes in the room. If I don't have access to the materials, I'll lock them in the room, and I didn't notice anything. Locations without sufficient floor space invite frequent pathing. Make sure your locations are large enough for your population. I didn't have a problem. I never had a problem with that, but I always kind of made everything the size I feel like it should be. Each animal needs to pathfind. In the other video, I told you how as soon as the fortress starts experiencing lag, I'll kill all the animals. And if you're trying to troubleshoot your fortress in this way, you can use the df hack command exterminate. Tame animals can be put into cages, keeping them from having anywhere to go. Okay, or you can butcher them. So if you're playing versus your troubleshooting, I would use df hack command exterminate. But if you're noticing a small slowdown or seeing that you have way too many animals, then you can butcher them, put them in cages. Sometimes I'll put the pets into the Atom Smasher. Avoid pet impassable doors. Yeah, I don't normally do these pet impassable doors. The cat'll sit in front of the door with a question mark. Yeah, the cats love to do this. As soon as there's a door that the cat don't want to go through, can't go through, they want to go through. Contaminants can accumulate on the ground and on dwarves and creatures, especially for old forts, and this can impact FPS. So when they spill drinks, when blood is spilled, when it rains slime, things like that. And you can type in a command in DFHack, it's clean space all, and that will clean all the contaminants. And I recommend doing that command every 3 to 5 years or so. If the contaminants are outside, you can isolate the area and let it rain to wash it away. You can also use that command I mentioned. You can keep pets in the pen and pasture so they don't path through the, or pit, so they don't path through the contaminant, because they spread it around. You can do, in some fortresses, you can make a dwarven bathtub. The dwarven bathtub is a channel that they're forced to walk through full of water. I guess everybody passes through the main entrance. So encountering HFS will dramatically reduce FPS after you seal the breach. Let's take a look at this bug. So this is still an open bug here. The latest update was not too long ago. Walling off, oh okay, if you wall off HFS it kills FPS. There's still pathfinding happening. Spams pathfinding requests. I guess if you open it up, then that resets it. Heavy construction, especially mega projects, will cause increasingly severe input lag as the fortress grows. I didn't, that wasn't a problem for me. Forbid materials, especially stones, blocks, and bars, as much as possible to reduce the time the game needs to calculate a list of available materials for building construction. That's fine. That, I mean, maybe that's going on for you. Training your military can cause lag, mostly due to sparring. Try to avoid training more than 1 or 2 squads at a time. When I train my dwarves, yeah, that's not an issue for me. When a team comes back from raid or mission, a huge lag spike can appear suddenly down to 5 FPS. You can disband the squad, and the situation should come back to normal. The problem with disbanding is that the dwarf has to be on the map for you to remove them from the squad. The same can happen when sending a squad out on a mission. Yeah, when that happens, yeah, there's a little bit of a lag. They all have to pathfind off the map, and possibly to equipment that they don't have. If squad members are somehow locked inside, they will continuously try to find a path to the mission, and the game can grind to a near halt. That's true. Use as few engravings as possible. Okay. Keep your map clean of contaminants. The DFHack clean map command works well for this, though some may consider it cheaty. I don't consider it cheaty, and I would replace the word map with all, because clean map is only going to clean the tiles, and clean all is going to clean everything. And I would maybe do that every 3 to 5 years. And also this should be up here in a sub grouping. Minimize the number of living plants. So you could pave everything. avoid looking at complicated areas. I have no idea what that means. That's amazing. I did do an embark on a evil biome. All the plants looked like tentacles. They were like just squiggling, and it was animations all over the place, and I hated it. I just started a new fortress because of it. It was just difficult to look at. If there's plants growing in your fortress because it flooded and then drained, you could pave the, you could build a floor over top of that and then take the floor up. And that will return it. That's the only way I know of removing mud. And then also outside of the fortress you could build flooring in. I think wooden flooring outside, I think deteriorates over time. But stone flooring will stay. Thank you very much for watching. In part 3, we're going to be looking at maximizing FPS with game alterations. Subscribe for more videos.